lips nervously. "I didn't expect them to send you, sir," he said. A man who has woken the mighty behemoth of a murder investigation was bound to fear the consequences if he'd got it wrong. "They sent me," Atherton said. "I just came along for the ride," Slider explained. "Nice day, fresh air, etc. Anonymous 999 call, wasn't it?" "Yes, sir, from a payphone." The sun was almost vertical, and despite a short-sleeved shirt, and standing in the narrow strip of shade along the wall, he must have been uncomfortably hot. "I didn't know there were any phone boxes left that still worked," Slider said. "It was one of those inside Westfield, sir. They have security guards walking about, so they don't get vandalised. Informant was a female, sir, and not a kid. The operator said it sounded like an elderly woman, so they took it seriously. Sergeant Paxman sent me round here just to be sure, and there was the body all right, at the foot of the stairs like the informant said. It looked at first glance like an accident, but it just didn't sit right with me, sir." His bright blue eyes were steady, neither appealing nor defiant. He was standing by his judgment, and Slider liked that. A copper without a copper's instinct was a near liability. Anyway, he knew Darbley and trusted him. "All right, walk me in." The gate had no lock, just a simple thumb latch. Behind it, the garden was an overgrown mess of weeds, long grass, brambles, and flourishing buddleia, with a path from the gate to the front door. The house was not large for the size of the plot. A late Victorian double-fronted villa, with bay windows and mock Tudor woodwork on the gables. 5 or 6 bedrooms, if I'm any judge," said Slider. "Plus the attics." "Doesn't look lived in," said Atherton. "No curtains at the upstairs windows." The ground-floor windows had internal shutters that were closed. The windows were dirty, paint everywhere was peeling, and the stucco, which had once been painted white, was dingy grey. Squatting in its rampant garden, the place looked forlorn and abandoned, even on a bright, sunny day. "So what's the story with this place?" Slider asked. "I don't know anything about it, sir," Darbley said, looking almost shamefaced. He prided himself on his local knowledge. He had been a community liaison officer before there was such a thing, back in the days when community policing was just known as policing. "I've never been to a call out here. Never heard of any trouble connected with the address." The front door was the original Victorian one, panelled, with 2 narrow vertical lights of stained glass depicting stylized lilies with green leaves. In the centre of each was a small circle of clear glass, presumably so that the householder could see who was outside before opening the door. Above the door was a square stained-glass fanlight with a scenic design, a view of a castle on a high bank over a river. Amazingly, all the glass was intact. "Was the front door closed like this?" "Yes, sir." He had knocked and rung the bell, without response. Then I looked through the clear bit in the stained glass, and I saw a woman lying at the foot of the stairs. She wasn't moving at all, so I used a mica sheet to slip the lock. Mica sheets were one of the many handy implements a well-tooled officer carried these days. "There's a deadlock, as you can see, sir, but it wasn't engaged." Well, you wouldn't expect it to be if someone was inside. "She's obviously been dead a while, sir. She's quite stiff. But I've called in for the police surgeon." Even a corpse with its head detached had to be declared dead by a fully qualified expert in deadness. The copper on the spot couldn't assume it. Darbley had put the door on the latch and pushed it open now. Slider and Atherton gloved up. The entrance hall was spacious in the Victorian way, high-ceilinged, with doors to the front-facing rooms on either side and a passage off to the left, presumably to the kitchen area. The stairs were straight ahead, nicely wide with turned balusters and handrail, and a decorative newel post topped with a large ball. The floor of the hall was covered with elderly linoleum, the sort with the parquet pattern that was popular in the 50s, while down the passage there were only bare floorboards. Up the stairs was a central carpet.